cameras on. It looks like all the panelists have their cameras on, actually. So I think we're good to go, Jean-Louis.
So the attendees are coming in. Give it about 30 seconds or whenever you're ready, then you can start. Okay.
Sounds good. If somebody's talking a little bit too much, we'll just, you know, kindly chime in. I notice 5 minutes is typically a good time to answer a question. So it's no disrespect. It's all love. If you hear Laila or I interjecting, is Alonzo taking a nap?
What's up, Alonzo? You said it's a pillar stick.
Boy, if you don't sit up.
Yeah, he took it to the
Boy,
next
if you don't
level.
sit up.
Don't forget I had surgery, so I can't really sit up. I gotta
Ah, what a baby.
That's true.
gotta
That's
be
true.
on
We
my
have
back
to
a
make
little
sure.
bit.
We got to make sure. So we're live, everybody, just so you know. Don't talk nothing too crazy.
That damn Alonzo.
And Flaco, are you there too?
Yeah, I'm here, but I don't see anybody's camera.
Yeah, we can't see
Just
you.
like-
There you are.
Okay, yeah, I'm here, but I don't see anybody else either. Oh, I see
That's
you
probably
now, but I don't
because
see
you're
like-
on your phone. Maybe if you swiped or whatever, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. As far as I know, we're live. Once again, thank you for joining the Pillars of the Community Political Education class. This actually, you know, is one of the classes that I've been looking forward to the most. We've had an opportunity to bring in a lot of amazing people to present and be able to learn from. And these folks who we have on the panel tonight are all close friends of mine. And really, they are the experts on the street, people who have been directly impacted by policing throughout their lives. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm really interested and can't wait to get this conversation started. As you all know, Pillars Political Education, we don't have a specific ideology, but it's more of what are kind of conversations that can lead to critical thinking and understanding the issue in a larger, deeper way than we had understood those issues beforehand. If attendees have questions that they'd like to pose, feel free to put those in the Q&A section. If it's possible, we always try to get to those questions. Sometimes it's not as easy or there's not enough time. And so be patient with us. So without going on too much, we have two amazing tech folks in the back, Jean-Louis and Mimi, who make all of this work. And we'll also be sending out a Google Doc with books, resources that are mentioned by the panelists as we go along. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce our panelists, and then I'll have them do a quick introduction of themselves. We have Mr. Tony Wiggins, who is a original, strong brother from Southeast San Diego, who is an elder, mentor, friend, comrade of mine. Samantha, City College alumni, transferred to San Diego State University, true pillar of the community, active on a number of different levels. My brother Alonzo, again, City College alumni, active Pillars of the Community member, and recently accepted into, is it UC Davis or UC Berkeley? He was accepted into a number of UCs.
UC everything.
Yeah, UC everything. Decided to go to UC Berkeley. We got our brother Flaco, Ryan Flaco Rising, another amazing scholar who's in his, what is this? You're going into your fourth year, your fourth year at, what is it called? UC Fancy Beach, UC Santa Barbara. He's going to be wrapping up his bachelor's not too long from now. And then the one and the only, my big homie, my sister, somebody who I have extraordinary amount of love for and respect for, and someone that I always am looking to make sure that I'm not in the wrong. Sister Ingrid Archie from A New Way of Life. Just an amazing individual. So without further ado, we got a large panel. So let's go ahead and get started. Just if you could all briefly, and we'll start with Mr. Tony, just kind of introduce yourself, your background, and what brings you to this conversation.
Tony Wiggins, part of the Pillars of the Community. I was born and raised here, 66 years old, and I have been heavily impacted by these overpaid overseers, aka police, and so and I see it as an abolitionist movement to disinvest in the police.
Yes.
Thank you. Alonzo, you want to take it away next?
Alonzo Harvey, you know, City College, on my way to Berkeley. Heavily impacted by the, you know, police department my whole entire life. I guess since the day I woke up and saw the police department, I've experienced nothing but trauma. Didn't realize it was trauma until I got older. But yeah, that's it.
So, and Samantha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Samantha. I am also a member of Pillars of the Community, and I am a former San Diego City College student. Recently graduated from San Diego State with my bachelor's in social work. And, you know, I'm a formerly incarcerated student, as well as a former foster youth, and I've been impacted by the police departments from a young age, from 7 and 8 years old, and I'm now becoming aware of how to try to destruct what they have built. So glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. And Ingrid.
What are we saying? Because I got.
You're just introducing yourself. You're just introducing yourself. Where you're at. You're actually one of the few people from Los Angeles that I don't mind inviting to a panel. Where you're from, what organization? You're just kidding. I love LA. We just have a little man's complex down in here in San Diego. We're tired of being overlooked. But just where you're from, your background, and what brings you to this conversation.
So I'm from South Central Los Angeles. My background is the streets, and I work for a New Way of Life reentry project. And what we do is we house women who come from incarceration. We provide housing services, advocacy, leadership. We do record expungements free of charge, some legal services when people are locked out of trying to get, you know, certain certificates and things of that nature. We partner with statewide organizations to craft legislation that would change the lives of those who have been impacted by the criminal justice system. Basically, it's everything that has to do with the criminal justice system, because it's always something where you could be a part of a group. But, you know, with our group, you have to have a felony conviction to come join our group, or, you know, to work with us.
Thank you, Ingrid. I appreciate it. And then last but certainly not least, the man in the book. Actually, we have two people in the book behind me. We got Alonzo Harvey and Ryan Flaco. Ryan, you're on. Flaco, you there? You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm here. My phone just keeps going in and out. I don't know what the problem is. I don't really see anybody either on the. I may have to log in through my my computer or something. But I'm Flaco, San Diego City College alum, and representing the Underground Scholars Santa Barbara, Pillars of the Community, Gangsta Nerds. Wear multiple hats, but one
Yeah, you're cutting out. You're cutting out, brother. You might
All
need to
right,
make that switch.
yeah, I'm Flaco. Just here from UC Santa Barbara, repping, gangster nerds and representing Montebello and most of all, just standing in solidarity with everyone. I'm gonna try to make that switch real quick.
Oh, good. It's good. It's good to see you. And
I'm
Laila
start with,
Aziz, my co-facilitator. We forgot about you.
yeah, I want to start it off. Let's get it cracking. People ready to hear some stuff, you guys.
Let's get it cracking.
We introduced ourselves twice. Come on, let's go. So I want to talk to my sisters. When's the first time that you guys had interaction with the police, and how do you see that affected you as you went through and navigated through life and your community?
I'll go ahead and start that. I was impacted by the police department as young as, I want to say, 8 years old, when they came and participated in the removal of my house. I was removed from school, and they were there with the social worker, and I just remember that I had a lot of fear because it was an aggressive removal. And so, at a young age, I always felt like, I always knew that was a bad guy. It wasn't even for me that I felt. I just was like, okay, something's off. There was just a form of physical violence that was used on my mom that day that I think I'll never forget. It was the beginning of my trauma, but definitely at a young age, I was probably 8 years old, 8 years old when I first had that initial police violence. And till this day, I carry it with me till this day. And my beliefs in policing have only magnified in what I already believed and what I already assumed, as I've gotten older and as I've become more educated and more aware, and being able to see things from two perspectives, I realized that there's such a bad influence and impact that happens, to young children when officers walk around very authoritative, with no sense of connection, no sense of community, no sense of family, no sense of protection, no sense of nothing like that. So it's definitely impacted me till this day, or I won't call the police for help.
Right. No, yeah, that's very traumatizing. Thank you so much. Sister Ingrid, when was your first interaction?
I think my first interaction was 6 when they came to my house to remove me out of the custody of my mom. And I just remember sitting at the police station and waiting on somebody to come pick me up, because what they told me is I wasn't going back to live with my mom anymore. I think that first interaction is what traumatized me later, because I entered back into the system, I think at like 13, because I ended up being adopted. And it was just all the interaction was negative. They would put me in foster homes and they would come and arrest me when I would run away and charge me with leading an immoral life and, come and arrest me from school. So every interaction I had with the police was always a negative interaction, was never positive. And so that shaped my thinking as far as when I interact with the police in my community, it's always going to be negative. I didn't witness like anything violent, but just based on the interactions as a child. And then, so I grew up, in and out of jail. And my interactions with the police was always sour. I would just stay quiet and keep my head down every time I went to jail, because I know I was the one that was willing to fight the police. And I had to go home. So I just would always try to steer clear of them because I hated them so much. That later on, just around people who kind of helped me understand that trauma is what shapes the work that I do now, and helping people to understand that we don't need the police to make changes in our community. Far too often, people may feel some type of way when I say this, but they want to call the police to the table when it's talk about community gun violence, and they the ones inflicting it on the community. They don't need to be at the table. They need to be under the table. We got this. We got people in our community that normally you always got
Put
My
you on
baby.
mute.
She want to talk too. You always got that one family member that act crazy, but you got another family member that could come calm that crazy family member down, right? And so that's how it is in the community. You always got that one person that you could call that's gonna come pull up and they gonna speak that language to whoever acting out, or female, or whoever it is. And we could police our own communities. You know what I mean? I don't like the police, you know, period, point blank. And I just know that just the work that I do just shows me that when people address their trauma, they could be the ones to help other people come out of it in the community, not people that have badges and guns that say they here to protect and serve when they here to protect and swerve.
And you know, sis, you said that at 13, because running away from foster home, you and Samantha both have a similar story of your first time with CPS, or with foster care, with removal, family removal, when they kidnapped the children from their home. Sam, and you said at 13 you started running away from those homes. Sam, when did you start getting actually arrested by the police and picked up, and what was that experience for you?
I was in 6th grade. I was in the San Diego Center for Children up in Kearny Mesa. And you get tired of being in group homes, you know, you get tired of living that life, you know. And so I started to run away too. And I remember it was me and a whole bunch of other young kids, you know, we were probably like 10, we were really young. And 10, some were 14, some were even a little younger than that. And we proceeded to run away. And by running away, I mean literally walking out of the group home and just walking. That's all we did was walk, you know, walk to the nearest playground, walk to the nearest place. And I think maybe the next day we were all walking down the street, really far from the group home. And but since it was morning hours, daytime hours, when the kids supposed to be in school, they see all these little kids walking down the street. And that was my first experience. And, you know, we were all different colors. We were all different colors. We were all different ages. Yeah, we all still got the same treatment, and we all got arrested. And we were like I said, there was an 8-year-old girl with us. I think I was 10. There was an 11-year-old with us and a 14-year-old with us. And, you know, we all got arrested, put in handcuffs. Just the worst experience, you know, not the worst experience of my life with the police, but definitely at a young age. It was just, I wasn't afraid because I had been through so much more traumatizing things, but I was just in shock that I was again living this moment with the police doing the same exact thing, only that this time they were putting handcuffs on me and putting handcuffs on all my friends to throw us in the back of a cop car. And then they took us over to my school, which I was going to, an outside school for my group home at the time, Montgomery Middle in Linda Vista, or high school, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, it was just very, I don't know if it humiliating. It was, I felt many different things as they got me off the car in front of my school. So that they can come pick me up, so the group home can come meet there or whatever they were going to do. And just everyone watching me. So at a young age, you know, being in 6th grade, I already had that I'm in handcuffs and, you know, that pipeline. So that was the first time I had that. I was arrested by the police.
And we see that a lot. Thank you guys. On our first encounters, both of y'all, it wasn't for a crime. It was a status offense because of your ages. So you were criminalized without even committing a crime. Mr. Tony, your first trip to juvenile hall, this story always makes me want to cry. How old were you and what happened?
I was about 8, and I was going to Sherman Elementary. Well, actually, before then, I guess it was about 7 maybe, and I had a little plastic little knife, you know, that only a kid can have at that age. And I got it from one of those little candy machines. And I was arrested and taken to juvenile hall for assault with a deadly weapon on my friend, which was a Mexicano. And he was one of my bestest friends. And him and his family, they didn't even come to court or anything. And so they whisked me away, took me to a all-white boys' home for about 2 years. And so I never forget, and I was just telling my sister the other day that, so the parole officer, the probation officer, whatever they finally brought me home after about 2 years.
Wow.
And I was in the living room, and it was so quiet in the house, you can hear everybody's hair grow. And one of my sisters was talking about something in the family, and and right at that point, I knew that I had been cut off abruptly from natural social progression. And I didn't have the words or rap to assemble and express and explain all the pain and the hurt, the degradation, all the name calling, nigger, and all of that stuff, you know, because I thought that at some point that God was going to intervene, and the power that I thought that my parents had, that they was going to come and whoop their ass. But you know what? I understood at that point that I was powerless. You know, and that at this point, that I was going to have to grow up quick and fast and learn how to deal with this heavy psychological burden. So, as a consequence of being marginalized and troubled and problems and everything, because, you know, I knew internally that I was troubled at that point. It's just like if you go and get a bird and get it and throw it back out, the rest of the birds, they're gonna kill it. That's how I felt at that point. So every encounter that I had, you know, it was that kind of encounter. But I'm thinking, but like what Ingrid said, that, you know what, I got into with some people, you know, for me, I'm a Muslim. And so I got with some people and I got into the root of that. And then when I got back, I was doing like Alonzo and what you're doing, and Khalid and them, what they was doing. And so that's what I try to do. I try to go out and help support those people, like them sisters and brothers that's coming up out of there with those troubles and those problems. That's and because, you know, there's a lot of people out there, they can't fathom what we've been through. I mean, they can't fathom. I'm gonna say this and shut up because I know you got other people. I never forget, I was in Soledad, 1973. They had a full-scale riot. They had just took the Soledad brothers, they parted them and all of that kind of crap. And I was sitting there, I said, man, how in the hell I wind up in here? All I wanted was a four-finger can of dirt weed and a bottle of wine. And they took me, sit me amongst, if these were murderers, that was real 5 to life. And I'm like, how in the hell I get here? All I had was a probation violation. All I did was just maybe stole something out the store. I didn't have any real bad felonies. I didn't have no burglars, no robberies, no guns, no knives, none of that. And so that's why I'm here, to help to you know, get rid of these people, man. Man, I'm telling you, man, I don't know. Yeah, but anyhow, that's you know, that's just a segue just to let you know that some of what I have been through.
You've been through a lot too. As people get to know you, they need to spend time. Flaco, one voice say that resonates with me is ADHD and IEPs and that track and the medicine they give you and all that other stuff going through school. What was your first encounter with the police? Was it at school or was it in the community?
Nah, actually, I was 10 years old. I was riding my BMX bike that my mom and dad had bought me. And there was a gang patrol in the area we nicknamed him Buzz, and he was like some white supremacist, spiked up hair, like just a straight, looked like a G.I. Joe, you know what I'm saying? Ugly dude. And his partner, and they used to harass us. And they came up on me on my bike. I was cruising down the street on my bike. I was going to the homies pad, and they came right in front of me. It was like a tinted down Trailblazer, and I just hit my brake, and they jumped out, cuffed me up, put my bike in the back. They were accusing me of robbing a bunch of houses, and they were accusing that I stole that bike. So they made my parents produce paperwork, receipts showing that they bought me this bike, and they took me to juvenile hall, and they forced my mom to drive miles up to get me out of juvenile hall. And when my mom got there, like, she was, you know, disappointed, upset. I'll never forget, because I remember it was back in the day when we used to wear those long tagger belts, and I had some big old Ben Davises on. They were like 40, 30s, you know what I'm saying? Like big, creased up. And I remember my mom was so pissed when she saw me, because they took my belt away from me, and my pants were like big old clown pants, you know what I'm saying? Like, and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna cut those up. I can't believe this." And they were accusing me of robbing these houses. I had no idea what they was talking about. And then my mom luckily had the receipts for the BMX. So it was just like some forced arrest just to get me on paperwork. And after that, it just like, it started from there, like where they were continuously stopping me now and pulling me over, gang file, and it just evolved from there. By the age of 12, where they had me fully incarcerated.
Wow. And by age 12, you were just fully submerged in the system. Submersed,
yeah. So I was fully locked up, being transferred around to different juvenile hall camps. My mom and dad had divorced, so my mom she moved out of state. So they had me go to the Idaho Youth Ranch, St. Anthony. I was just pretty much just a ward of the state, just moving around. By the age of 12, they were moving me from St. Anthony to Idaho Youth Ranch to Brown School to the YA, the Youth Authority, and downtown Boise, Idaho, because I had escaped from one of the ranches. Like, I was just shuffled around for years there until I finally got out of there, and then it was, you know, trying to adapt back to, you know, life out here, which I felt different, felt like I didn't belong. So of course, I've been taught that I need drugs in order to function correctly all my life. They told me, "Oh, you're ADHD. The only way you're going to be normal is if you're high on drugs. Like, you need Ritalin," which if you go and you do research on Ritalin, it's small doses of methamphetamine. You need Prozac because you're on Ritalin. It's causing depression. And, you know, and so my mom was constantly, you know what I'm saying, being, I say manipulated, and I was used as like a test dummy, like for medications by the pharmaceutical industry. They were telling these physicians, "Oh, you need to tell these parents anything to get them on," and then the school was right there documenting everything, and they were like, "Oh, he's sleepy, you know, and this medication's causing him to be sleepy," and they put me in like a resource room and gave me a beanbag. So I had a beanbag in the corner where they would just let me sleep, you know, hours out the day. It was fucked up, you know what I'm saying? But I'll tell you, the most dehumanizing experience I ever experienced was at the age of 12 years old, when I went into juvenile hall and I had a disgusting fat, I call him a sheriff, like pig, straight pig, make me undress in front of him at the age of 12 years old, and lift up and do all this nasty stuff to myself, and then spray me with lice spray like I was some diseased, infested animal, and make me sit there in front of him for 30 minutes with all this lice spray all over me, and just looked at me while I faced the shower. And that dehumanization process right there, it really fucked me up. And I was angry, I was pissed, and, you know, I didn't understand why I was being treated like some disgusting animal. But as they treated me like this, that's how I responded to them. I responded like an angry, vicious animal. And when I was in juvenile hall, like I was banging on the walls, I was acting crazy, you know what I'm saying, at all times because of this foul treatment. It was my only way to just, you know, just get this anger that I felt inside due to the treatment that I was receiving by this disgusting system that they call corrections. Like, how the fuck you correcting a 12-year-old kid by spraying him with light spray naked and humiliating him? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So that's some of my experiences, and they just evolved from there.
Right. And Alonzo, when I get to you, one of the things that Flaco touched on is when people are incarcerated, the how they strip you down, you're naked on the streets. As a youngster, were you ever stopped where the police kind of patted you and felt your private genitals, and you're like 13, 14 years old and touching and rubbing on them? And talk about that experience, because I would call that child molestation. Absolutely. And it's something that they do to Black and brown kids daily in our community. They touch our breasts, lift it up, see what's under our thing. I see them playing with the young men's penises and I'm just like, this is just, why are they allowed to do that? But also, what was your first experience with the police?
Well, my first experience with just seeing police officers was always kidnapping somebody. I mean, I was, born on Logan, born in Encounter, but raised on Logan. So it was just always kidnapping. I was always afraid of cuffs, even from the ice cream truck cuffs, when people were playing. It was just that I never seen people come back. I would never ask questions, but I always think every time we go outside, my uncles and they friends is hanging out. When the police pull up, you see somebody in cuffs and they never come back. And I would always ask myself, what are they doing? I would often see the brothers, later on, but in my head is what happened? What did they go through that they were kidnapped for however long they were kidnapped and allowed to come back? And I was just a repetitive thing constantly in my life. That's all I ever saw was, cops pulling up and kidnapping and bringing people back like mysteriously. So after a while, it just became normal to me. Like, is this what they do? Are my uncles bad? Like, are they doing something wrong? Because, guys would run, and then over time we would do it. It just was like almost a cat and mouse game, right? It just became natural. It's like, I know I ain't doing nothing wrong, but I don't want to get kidnapped either.
That part. Yeah.
I know we're not doing nothing wrong. My uncles can't possibly be doing anything wrong if they're always coming back. Right. So my encounter with the police was that, physically ever come to them, coming encounter with them. Man, I can't even. It became so natural. I would say my actual time ever actually being felt on was probably 13 years old. Was at 4-5 Park. I used to play for the rec. And you know how 4 or 5 is. You got people out there that do their thing. You got brothers that slang. You got some people that do other things. And that had nothing to do with who I was associating myself with, because they're still friends. So just hanging out and leaving the park one day, I get pulled over and immediately was in handcuffed and was told I was selling drugs. So, as a kid, I'm just talking. I don't sell drugs. I don't do this. You can check me. You can check me. You can check me. You can check me. So at this time, I end up on game. But I guess in those times is when they hit them. I had on tighty whities. This is how I'm wearing Fruit of the Loom drawers.
Right.
So, you got that little pocket right there. And I guess, the brothers used to hide them right there. So I had on shorts, basketball shorts. I'm coming from 4-5 Park. They pulled my pants down. I'm in cuffs. They pulled my pants down and asked me, what is that bulge?
Oh, God.
Asked me, what is that bulge? I actually told them to touch. I'm so scared that I'm going to go to jail. Yeah. I'm willing to do, you guys can check me, search me, touch me, do anything that you need to do, because in my head, I'm in trouble now because you already put me in prison. I don't want to get in trouble with my dad. So please don't call anybody. Do what you got to do and get me out of handcuffs. And that wasn't a repeated thing probably for all the way up until I ran into pillars.
Amen.
I realized what trauma was, what I realized what wasn't normal. And that was just that's just years and years and years of allowing them to sexually abuse us. That's a sexual abuse. To constantly kidnap us, and put us up against the wall. But like I said, it didn't really necessarily, and it's messed up that it didn't anger me so much back then because it was so normal. I mean, I see it all the time. We share stories, you know. Hey, did he catch you? Oh yeah, he caught me, man. He made me, you know, he checked my pockets, or yeah, he caught me. He made me take a picture, you know. So it was just we shared stories about the trauma that we went through and didn't even know that was trauma. Like I said, I didn't realize what trauma was until now. So that was like my first real and constant encounters. I mean, you know, we can go all day, but that was like my first real encounter when I knew that the police, I felt like like Brother Tony was saying, the power, when that dude actually asked me what that mode was and actually touched me, is when I knew that I had zero power. Wow. I felt like my parents for sure can't do nothing. You know what I mean? What the hell am I gonna tell my dad for? Because now he gonna think that, you know, the police, maybe I was selling drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't think I was. You know what I'm saying? So that goes without us even explaining and telling our parents the things that we're going through every single day in the streets, because we're scared and we're told that we're criminals when we're not. And that goes back to me always seeing my uncles in the run, because in my head I'm thinking they doing something wrong. In reality, they not. So it was just a repeated cycle, you know.
No, thank you for that. And I'm gonna give it back to Khalid, because one of the biggest things I'm gonna say is being in the workplace for a long time in the community, nobody has given us a voice to really question the fact that they're touching our kids' penises like Khalid has. You know what I'm saying? We joke around and, you know, we go, but this is big. And he also tells us to do counseling because he knows this is some complicated shit we've been through.
Yes.
So Khalid, go ahead and take it from there. Dang, thank you, every one of you guys. I'm in tears.
Yeah, I mean, thank all of you for sharing these things. I think one of the theme, you know, that Alonzo touched on right now is this idea of power.
Absolutely.
And, you know, there's a lot of people out there who, when they hear people say defund the police, or when they hear people say fuck the police, or they say it's a foreign concept to them.
Yes.
Not being able to understand how is it possible to have a world without police. And that's clearly because there's two totally different experiences with policing, but also because this idea of power and police having power to literally do whatever they want to you, no matter how old you are. So even Samantha, when she was talking about leaving, running away, how she was running away. What did running away mean? That meant them walking down the street to go to a park. That was running away. And because they walked down the street to go to a park, they were arrested.
Yes.
Who advocated for Samantha, right? Who advocated for Tony? Where were the good cops there, right? And so this idea of power, and that there's no opportunity ever to be, at what point would it have been okay for that 8-year-old to sock the police in the face? At what point would it have been okay for Alonzo to resist being molested, or any of these other, you know, people, black and brown youth? At what point it is okay for them to resist that thing? So can you talk a little bit to that idea of powerlessness, and what does it do when somebody who we're told is the good guy, somebody who has absolute power over you, more power than your parents? The police could do stuff that would get parents arrested.
Talk about it.
What does that do? And anybody can jump in. What is that relationship with power and the people that we've been taught are there to help us? What does that do to what does that mean? And what does that do to your mentality growing up?
Man, like I said earlier, you know, what that very first encounter, and then that second, you know, and then it became consistent, because I came to realize that, you know, that they have been obsessed with controlling the lives of the people in my neighborhood. I have seen it all my life. And so, man, that was some hurtful, pitiful, and incomprehensible demoralization. It just is, it's like you would have to dig it to dig it. There's no words for it, I'm telling you. It's just so, it's so deep that even today I'm at 66, and sometimes, and you know, Khalid, wallahi, sometimes I whimper and man, what happened? You know, like this, like in 65, they just out of nowhere scooped me up, took me to juvenile hall for about 2 days. From then, they sent me to a YA. I come to find out later, the reason they did it because the Watts riots was there in LA. And so the people that was on probation, I don't care. And if you was of African-American descent, it was like a homeboy party. We was all up there like on San Andreas. Like, where the hell is that? In the hills with some scandalous white people. I'm qualifying scandalous white people because they were scandalous. They were brutal. I'm telling you, they were brutal. It was horrifying. They would beat your ass, put your face in the ground, all that stuff that you think that you've seen in a horror movie. Wallahi, that's what we did. And for those, man, it was like watching
Mr. Tony,
horror.
so this is the police that you're talking about?
Yes. And that's what they would do. For those on my age that might be watching, and they will tell you, they would take you wherever you was at. And if you was just talking to them, trying to talk sensible, they said, you shut up when I'm talking to you. Put your hands behind your back. And then they take you, where the old police department was, there was a lumber yard. And they would whoop your ass. Talking about lumps and bumps. So I don't have the words to express and explain the pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization.
Yeah, so I think that's a good way to frame it is the violence, right? So if you guys can talk about the power and the violence of the police being inflicted on you, that'd be good. Sam, you were getting ready to say something.
Yes. Just because when Alonso was speaking and he talked about power, and then you went and talked about power too, and I was like, okay, I'm on the right track, because it clicked on me that, you know, the police, they can make you feel so powerless. And, you know, and thank God for us who we do know pillars of the community, and we have, you know, become aware of, you know, of our rights as a human. And so I was thinking about my personal experience and thinking about, you know, why I have so much fear when it comes to the police, and why I have so much PTSD when it comes to the police, you know? You know, and I truly believe that they have had so much power. And even though we don't want them to have power, the truth is that they have power, you know, and that's why we're trying to defund them, because they have power. And so it becomes frustrating, upsetting, you know, where it makes me sick in my stomach, because I can't even see a cop car, you know, without me like feeling so many types of ways, you know. And I recently moved to City Heights, and there's a lot of cop cars here, you know. There's a lot. I've gone and pulled here in City Heights. I've had my car for 5 years, and I've gone and pulled here in City Heights. I've lived here since January, February. I've gone and pulled already like 7 times, just driving on my street, on my block, you know. And so just that fear, you know, and talking about that PTSD, that thing that it makes us shrink back, you know. And that's why we need to continue to do these panels and, you know, inform people and really expose the police, you know, and expose the way they police and how they have been doing this for many years. Because like you said, there is no such thing as good cop, bad cop, you know. And it's because some people have never experienced these things and they've never heard these types of stories. They just turn the blind eye and they just keep on walking, you know. But I feel that as we continue to express ourselves and share these real stories, these real raw stories, and how they affected us, and these are everyone that's on this panel is people that have overcome. It's people that have literally been trampled on, arrested, humiliated, embarrassed, you know, taken advantage of, molested, and we overcame. And we're still overcoming continuously, right? So I just, you know, wanted to talk about how the power of the police really affects us individuals, you know? And I thank God for all the people who, you know, take their position and continue this fight, because it helps the generation behind, right? And that's the only way we're going to bring that change to take that power from the police and give it back to the community. I love what Ingrid said when she said that, you know, we don't need the police to bring change in our community. And, you know, and I think about people like Tasha who, when you call her, she rolls up and she does policing the right way, or she brings that peace the right way, and she brings that protection the right way. And that's just one of many people that I know, right? And so I just wanted to share that, and to not be blind that the police have power, but so do we. So keep on pushing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I asked that question, right, is because when people are looking at, like, you know, I prefaced it as like, well, why would we want to defund the police? What's so bad about the police? And so that violence that we see, I know this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Have any of you seen the police act in a violent way?
Oh my God.
Maybe Ingrid. Can we go over to Ingrid? Because I mean, as silly as that question sounds to us, there's a lot of people who they can't imagine. The first time they saw police acting violence was during these demonstrations. And so Ingrid, can you talk a little bit about, I mean, you're in LA, you know, San Diego police officers, they'll beat you up and molest you, but crack a joke. LA's kind of another level though. That's the first time I saw a police motorcyclist cuss somebody out for cutting them off. I said, what's happening right now? But sorry, go ahead, LA.
I've been chased by off-duty police officers. They so wicked out here. And you know, I'm from South Central. I live in South Central, Los Angeles. Hold on, please. Turn the TV down. Thank you. Excuse me. And so just seeing this, I've seen police literally beat you up, you know what I'm saying, and keep you in the holding tank and not transfer you until your lumps have went down, because they know that, you know, if they transfer you to another facility, people are going to question, why do you look like Willie Lump Lump? You know what I'm saying? And they can't say, oh, you got into a car accident, or oh, you tripped over a pencil, or some crazy shit like that they always come up with. I can't even pick a story. It's just so many times I've seen a police be violent. Police have been violent with me. Just in jail, I've been cuffed to a door for hours. I've been stripped. I've been everything that you could possibly imagine I've experienced by the police officers. My family members have been killed by police departments. And then I heard you raise the question around why defund the police. And
show them how to multitask, sis.
Sorry, I gotta be mama, community activist, and whatever
all that
all at one time. And so the reason why we have to defund the police is because they have overly invested in the police so much that we have a pandemic that has made us unequipped to be able to answer to the call of being able to protect our community. We don't even have the proper tools. We don't have enough money put in Medicare to protect Black people in our communities, because they've overinvested in communities in Black areas. They could have did something else with that money, but they felt like Black people needed to be policed instead of cared for. They needed to be locked up when they were poor instead of cared for. And now we have a whole damn pandemic, and then they want to get on mics and say, oh, you know, the Black and brown community is gonna be what is they say disproportionately affected, by contracting COVID. Well, shit, we've been disproportionately affected by living and being poor. It ain't nothing new, but it's sad, and that is the reason why we have. That's the reason why we have to defund the police. The money has to go somewhere else. They transferred those.
I want to give us time. I want to give us time at the end to go more into the defunding the police part.
Okay.
But
we
because
just break it all the way down. Okay, well, Ingrid, start us off with this one, because I've seen you on the mic before, and I've seen the way you do work, and I've seen the people that you put up and why you do that. How has your interactions with the police, with the prisons, with the court systems, with every slaveholding system that we have, how has that helped shape you into who you are today?
So just understanding those interactions and the fact that I have a voice to help educate people, kids, quiet, to help educate people has fueled my fire, because we think that, Sacramento, the police, the public pretenders, the prosecutors, we see them as big people. No, they bleed just like us. They little people. We the big people in the community, because when it's really time to fight and stand on them front lines, who you see on the front lines, it ain't the police, it's us. And so that's what has shaped, just knowing that and understanding that and seeing it on a different, just understanding how my voice can really impact the community and go so far as to change laws and legislation. That has influenced my work. That has kept a fire under my feet. And that's the reason why, I don't just want it to be me. I want it to be a lot of us, who are doing this work and understand that we got to keep this going. Not just me's and Ingrid's, but, Ingrid could be a lot of people.
And Ingrid, and you're making a lot of Ingrids. Alonzo, when I came back and I saw my whole generation gone in the belly of the beast, and I'm a 70s baby, you're a little younger than me, and I said, this is the white man's way of making sure no civil rights, guerrilla, straight revolutionary Black men rise to the top. And then I see you out in the streets questioning everything the pigs do. How has your interactions, because you don't pump fear, your heart doesn't pump fear, neither you or Flaco. How has what you've gone through made you into the person you are now?
Education, pillars, and I'll just be all the way 100, man. Khalid, brother Khalid, and you and everything that Pillars did, man, it didn't just wake me up, it woke my whole entire family up. It worked the whole community up. And we talked about the power. I remember just being just trying to take back from being that 13-year-old boy to who I am now. I know I'm powerless as an individual. I can admit to that. But I draw my strength from who I know. I draw my strength from what I know. I draw my strength from the education that I have. I draw my strength from thinking about the Lailas and the Khalids and the brother Tonys and the Flacos and the Malcolms and the Ingrids. That's who I represent when I'm running around here. It's not just me out here. It's all you guys that I represent. So I'm very careful and mindful of what I do. And that's where I draw my power from. I think as individuals, we got to stop thinking that we do have that power and lean on one another and constantly have these conversations and continue to educate, because the reason why I'm not scared is God knows if something happened to me, I could call Laila, I could call Khalid, I can call Tasha, I can call Tony, I can call Flaco. So at the end of the day, it's not just about me, because if something happens to me, you're going to have to answer to a whole lot of people. So I'm willing to throw myself out there and make that sacrifice for the young man or the young sister or the brothers and sisters, whoever it may be that's in this community. I'm going to be willing to throw myself out there, because at the end of the day, I know it ain't just going to be, it's not just about to be about me. You're going to have a whole lot of people to answer to. So I draw my power from that. You know what I mean? And I refuse to let them take that from me. I refuse it. I mean, when I'm stepping up to the police, I'm already stepping up with that power already. You're never going to be able to take that away from me, because I know who's behind me, whether they're here or not. And I think that's what we all got to continue to do, man. People of color have to stop being an individual and be a collective. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't belong to our organization, belong to somebody. Belong to your mentor, belong to your teacher, belong to your professor, belong to your counselor. If you draw that strength from somebody, I promise you, you're gonna be able to. I mean, it's second nature to me. You know what I mean? I don't care about. I understand what's going on, because even in light of us being killed on TV, you know, we're not even just being murdered by guns, we're being hung now. So we're in a time where that's exactly what they're doing. They're drawing power from us. And as an individual, when you're constantly watching that, you know, we're depleting ourselves. You know, that shit hurts. I often tear up sometimes when I'm constantly watching Facebook or I'm constantly on Instagram. That's why I don't even get on it no more, because I start to see how weak I'm becoming. So if I'm weak, then how am I able to fight? You know what I'm saying? So I just constantly draw my strength from y'all, man, and constantly pray. I pray and draw strength from y'all and fight, man, because what else are we to do? You know, who am I? We've been fighting before time. You know, so I'm just a fighter in the fight. That's all. I was elected to fight. I'm an elected person to fight. So the fact that I'm elected, then that's what I'm gonna do for my folks, for my people from the community across the world. I'm elected, and that's the position that I think we all have taken. So that's why I think all of us up here are not considered powerless but powerful, because we draw our power from one another and amongst people from other communities.
That's right. I met Flaco when he was fresh out, and we
man,
right.
So did I.
Where you at, Flaco? I can't see you. There
man,
we go.
I'm here. Man, this is just so much being said. For myself, like, I mean, I didn't know nothing about organizing. I didn't know nothing about talking. I didn't know nothing about none of this. Like, the only thing I knew was gang banging and slanging dope and getting high and running amok in the streets. And then one day I met Alonzo Harvey at a POTC scholars meeting, and then he's talking about dark bodies, and I'm like, whoa, like, this is powerful. Like, yeah, this is how it's, you know, like, and I didn't even know about hypermasculinity or patriarchal or anything. Like, I didn't know nothing. I was dumbed down from growing up in the system, and that's how they wanted to keep me. And instead, I was handed a megaphone, and I was told to speak to the people. And I'll never forget it. It was right there in front of it was the MS building across the street from the MS building. It was right there in that courtyard, and we were doing like a dark bodies talk, and we were talking about coming together in solidarity, bringing the Black and brown communities together to quit allowing the system to divide and conquer us. And I grabbed this megaphone and I started to speak, and I don't remember what I said. I know it's on video, but everyone started to clap and cheer and like hoot and holler afterwards. And I found my voice in that moment, and I realized, dang, like, I need to speak up. I need to share these experiences that I've gone through to wake the community up, because they're unaware of the shit that's happening in the system that they're giving $15.7 billion to a year in the state of California. They're unaware. Like, we're giving $15.7 billion of our community money to a system that's just has a hand to do whatever the heck they want to our people. And then they're bringing them back out with all this trauma and just dumping them with $200 in our communities and setting them up to come out here and to survive by any means necessary again, and just building this revolving door. And that's all the system has done, is design this revolving door. And that's all these police do is just come into our communities when we've not called them to our communities. They show up all day long, drive up and down our streets and create crime. It ain't us. They're creating the crime. We're just trying to survive. And so, you know, since I've been home, I haven't even been out of prison 5 years. And I've been studying, and I've been trying to understand how to come together as one. Because like he said, like Alonzo pointed to, like Tony, Ingrid, Samantha, everyone's pointed to, we're together in this. We're one community. We're united. Nobody's experiencing less or more. We're all experiencing the same exact, just on different sides of the town. You know what I'm saying? This attack from the police is happening to all of us. And we're all going upstate, and they continue to take money away from our communities. And that's a big disservice to our communities. Look at all the tents in downtown LA. Look at all the tents in downtown San Diego. And really ask yourself, what the hell are the police doing? They ain't doing shit, jack shit. They're just criminalizing us and terrorizing us and trauma on our minds, and then we're coming out here broken, and or we're walking away from the experience with them broken, and we're using drugs, we're doing things to numb this pain that we feel internally. And the only way we're gonna rid ourselves of this pain that we're feeling internally is by uniting and defunding and shutting them down. You know what I'm saying? I just seen another brother get killed by the cops down there in San Diego. Like this is hurting all of us.
They just,
you know what I'm saying? You know, and so, you know, it's time to rise up and realize we can take care of our own communities. They're patrolling them all day long. We ain't calling them there to do all that. They do to really build this mass incarceration epidemic that swept and purged all of our communities and destroyed our families. These are they're attacking and assaulting our families. It's not about protecting and serving anyone. It's about getting that $15.7 billion living their classy little lives while we're all living in tents, or we're on the verge of living in a tent. So we need to unite, you know what I'm saying? And we need to fight, and we need to reclaim our communities and that money for our communities, and watch what happens. $15.7 billion. I think if we got that back down to our communities, we would see a lot of great changes.
We would have public safety issues. Tell them, Flaco. Flaco, I can listen to you all day.
For real.
Can I say something real
quick? I don't want our next generation to experience this whatsoever. So, you know what I'm saying?
Mr. Tony is trying to jump in here.
Yeah, because you know what? Because what I just want to what Flaco was saying, because you know what? In 1979, we had a heavy militaristic police presence in Southeast. We had that. We had that since 1958. But when it really, really happened, it was in about 1980. What happened in 1980 in San Diego? Chula Vista, Chula Vista, you used to be able, you can ride through Chula Vista. You've been there lately? And why did all of that stuff come? The prison industrial complex.
So you're saying Donovan?
And then right after that, man, we had a heavy police presence in San Diego. And then right as soon as Donovan got there, what happened? What happened, Alonzo? They swept 5-9 in a day.
Alonzo wasn't even born.
Hey, and look, and I'm telling you, and so if you talking about homelessness in 1978, I was downtown hustling. That was my thing, drinking wine, being a hobo and whatever. And there was 5 people that we knew that was homeless. In 1983, when they went and released all of those people out of those COVID insane asylums, aka rehabilitation centers, there was mass homelessness. And so guess what? The people that they were given Cat J meds and all of that stuff, once they got out, they didn't know where to go. And that's where they end up being homeless. And so we had a big, heavy police presence from that point on, especially going into Barrio Logan and the Skyline and the Lincoln Park area. I'm talking about all within the 80s, I'm telling you, and then going into Encanto. It was like that every day. Matter of fact, right about NER and Encanto in about 82 and 83, it was like Afghanistan. The police was chasing the bangers, and the bangers was chasing the police. That's how it was. I'm telling you, that's how it was. And so, you know what? So like, well, I was just saying that, you know, about that. If we can defund, you know, when I was a kid, they used to have brothers and sisters that would monitor the neighborhood. And they were fearless because they would go and tell the police, "You not taking them kids."
That's right.
So they lay their life down. But now we're gonna have to do something. They got to go. And for the feel good looky loos of life that says that, you know what, hey, you know what, hey, how we gonna do this and all of that. I said, well, just think about it like this. You got a family, and we know what the laws is, but inside of the house, you got a police there, and it's a real uncomfortable presence.
So real quick, I want to jump in here because there's one, I want to make sure that we are able to talk a little bit about defunding the police, but this is kind of, it's the same question, but it's a two-pronged question. Behind Alonzo's experience with the police and behind the experience of so many people who feel like the experience of being molested by a police officer has been normalized, that feel like the reason why they were beat up by the police is because they were criminalized. Can you all talk a little bit about why this idea that you deserve it, whether it's people who themselves feel like, oh, I was a criminal, that's why I was locked up. I was a gang member, that's why I was locked up. I did this, I was locked up, I deserved it. And others from the outside also who look and they're like, well, shoot, I mean, I just heard that you were saying that you were selling drugs, that you were a gang member, that you were this. I mean, you deserve it. Of course you deserve it. If you weren't doing those things wouldn't happen to you. So I guess it's a two-pronged question. One is the answer to outsiders who say that. And then the other is to the people themselves, because I speak to people all the time and that I have to like talk to about the system that have created the situations that we're in. That it's not normal to be pulled over by the police a few times a week and asked if you're a gang member. Like, that's not normal, whether you're a gang member or not. That's not normal. Can you talk a little bit about this idea of people, why do we not deserve it? Or why do you not deserve it? And again, we don't have too much time, so if we can keep everything under 4 minutes or so, that is short and concise and beautiful like all of you are, that would be great.
Well, first we have to, let me answer that first. I think first what we have to do is, and to find a way to do, is we got to humanize ourselves, right? And we, you know, I don't want to go back into the history, but I mean, we were dehumanized, you know what I mean? They stripped us of everything. So from that point in time when they stripped us, we were no longer consider ourselves human beings or even equal or anything. And you can even jump, fast forward to that, and even go to the dog test. You know, I was looking at that the other day when these little kids were picking white dogs and not themselves because they themselves at that age even thought the dog was ugly, was a bad dog. So that's just post-traumatic slave syndrome generationally. So even, and it sucks to say, but even up until I was grown, like the last time I was told to pull my pants down or that they kind of pull, well, you know, we sag a little bit. So when you're sagging, you're really done. If you got any kind of sagging, they're for sure pulling your pants down. So I think my last time actually being physically like told to pull my pants down was 2008. I probably was 19. I was at a known drug house, leaving a known drug house, and you know, they pulled my pants down and made sure nothing was hanging again. So that even then, that just brought me back to, damn, they do this all the time. You know, I'm glad I ain't got nothing on me type thing in my head. You know what I'm saying? So even at that time while being sick, I'm calling myself a criminal. I'm telling myself that I deserve to be checked because I'm coming from a known drug house. So that's just, you know, I think that has to do with somehow, I mean, we don't deserve it because but we have to humanize ourselves. Once again, we have to draw that power from this panel and from our teachers and constantly being talked to because, you know, at times, man, we do tend to be hard on ourselves when we have nobody else telling us that we are greater than. We don't have nobody else telling us that we can. I didn't have nobody telling me I was going to prison. You know, I was always told that I was going to be, even though I had a family. But when you're in the streets, the police and everybody else don't see that in you. So you tend to don't see that in yourself. You know, so it's hard even being grown, man. I'm 33 years old. Like I said, it's hard even being grown to understand that you even have that right, even while they're killing us on TV right now.
Huh, you ain't lying, brother.
So that, you know, that just comes from you know, I think it varies with different people. You know what I'm saying? And I know it varies for me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
I like that. Can I jump in, Khalid? I want to ask a question, Khalid, because Ree has one up here, and it kind of is something that I've been wanting to ask Samantha. Samantha has become my hero over the few years. I consider her family. I consider my love for her unconditional. And she taught me as a professional because I met her as a participant in a program when she was 17 years old. So we way past that. Literally, I consider her family, and my love for her is unconditional. And what I've seen her grow to from 17 and enrolling her with sand on her because she was with the East Side Boys coming from the beach to today.
Yeah.
And
we need a Pillars in East Side, I'm telling you.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
You took school because you were a high school dropout.
I was a middle school dropout. I dropped out of middle school in like 8th grade. I was like, I'm done with this. I actually had a police interaction. I ended up getting physical with the principal. Police arrested me on the bottom of the hill of my school. I was like, I'm done with school. So yeah, I was a middle school dropout.
But what made you get to where you are now?
What made me get to where I'm at now? Well, I just want to thank you, first of all.
Quickly say where you're at now so people know where you're at.
Yes.
And what helped you, and then what made you get.
Okay. Well, just quickly, I just want to say thank you to Laila for saying that really beautiful little mini introduction because I love you so much too, and our love is unconditional to the day we die. Because you believed in me when no one believed in me. You saw something in me that no one saw in me. You know, when I tell you I was headed straight, you know, for life in prison, I'm a 2-striker. When I'm telling you I was headed that direction, like I was headed that direction. And, you know, I wouldn't say it was by accident because the universe knows why, but I landed at her old program, taking my homeboys to go pick up some stipends. You know, I didn't really, you know, I don't know why I got off the car, but I got off the car with no shoes. And, you know, Laila just saw me and it was like, it went ding. She was like, you. She just was like, you. She's like, you need to be in this program. And she, and no one has ever advocated and busted their ass so much for me to be able to succeed. And that's really what put that, like, that pep in my step to be like, oh shit, like someone believes in me. And you know, psychologically, even when you're doing child development classes and things like that, they tell you that all it takes is one person. All it takes is one person to be there for a child, and they will grow up and have a bigger possibility of, you know, being productive and all that good stuff. And even that, just the fact that there was those programs in place. And so before, where was I? You know, like I said, I was removed from my mother at a really young age. And, you know, I experienced a lot of sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, all those things, right? To the point where I was one of those little girls that you see selling candy and selling vegetables and fruits over at the border before you cross. Like, that's how bad it was for me. At 12 years old, I was homeless in Mexico, lived there over there for like a year and a half by myself, really much, you know, had no support, nothing like that. Didn't have nothing going for me. At 14, I got pregnant, still didn't have nothing going for me. Now here I am with this, you know, beautiful child. And all I know is gang violence, that lifestyle. That's the only love that I knew was, you know, all my homeboys, all my homegirls, my family.
Sam's not a fake gangster. Sam is with the business.
Oh, she's seen me. She's seen me use, you know, unprofessional manners to get my point across, you know, and just because, like, that's just, I'm a very passionate individual, you know. I'm a very passionate individual, and I'll fight for those who, you know, who have my back, you know, and Laila has always had my back. I have followed Laila throughout these years, and it wasn't even planned. It's just how destiny had it, literally, you know. And so, you know, where am I at now? You know, well, through the program that Laila used to work at, I obtained my high school diploma, and so I'm super grateful for that. And most importantly, I obtained a lot of job skills, you know, and I just, man, I was in that program for 3 years straight. So I mean, I went through that whole program, and just really was like, I need to do something, you know what I mean? Like, I just need to do something different. Like, I know that I was not called to be some drug addict up and down the streets. I know that my pain was not in vain. I know I'm not called to be sitting in a cell for the rest of my life. Like, I know, like, I knew that I had a purpose, you know? What it was, I did not know. But, you know, when I opened up that first book, I've always loved reading. Even as I was going through old paperwork my mother had of me, I was mind blown because I had a lot of IEPs, individual education plans. They were constantly doing progress reports on me. My teacher was constantly writing down my behavior. And I had a really bad, I was considered emotionally disturbed, so I had a behavioral issue, constantly, you know, getting verbal, physical, things like that. And so to see, shit, my phone just died.
That's okay. She must have been on her phone. I'm gonna say this, and hopefully she watches the thing.
And she might be able to jump.
It wasn't no program that made Samantha. Samantha, that's in her. It's not on her. It's in her. So she actually made us look good. Flaco, what took you from the pen to the state?
And
What's
just
that?
real quick, just real
Go
quick,
ahead.
Layla, just real quick, I gotta jump in. We got I just saw one of the attendees, Brother Haroon Abdul Mubarak, who he's a middle school teacher, and so he made a comment talking about the importance of middle school teachers, making sure that they recognize and give the love and the support that everybody needs. Because if we listen to these stories, they start at 8 years old. They start at 8 years old. So when did somebody intervene in order to actually help them? So that's the first thing. The second thing is Brother Haroon Abdul Mubarak, you know him also, Laila, because he used to teach over at Holly Charter.
He used to do Harambe, and he lives in Palm Springs now.
And he's one of the founders of Pillars of the Community. So shout out to Brother Haroon. And I'm gonna pass, also formerly incarcerated, made it through, got his higher education, and ended up coming back and giving back to the community. Brother Flaco and Laila, take it away.
Damn, after state pen, you at Penn State, brother. How'd you get there? What made you do that?
Honestly, I mean, it was the community of San Diego, like, you know, like just having, you know, like Khalid, having Alonzo, having the Harvey family, my father, you know, and just professors that believed in me and like really like said, hey, Flaco, will you come speak? Just offering those things, it uplifted my spirit, because I walked out of prison with a very broken spirit. I was still dealing with a lot of internal, you know, internal things, and I still am, and I'm still healing, you know, meeting my wife and just going through this growth process, you know. But it started in the pen. I never was exposed to activism. But when I was in the pen and we the Short Corridor Collective, you know, I was a diehard Sureño. I still am to this day. I love the homies. I love everything the homies taught me, respect. They taught me, you know, to always think about the next person. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of values that the homies instilled in me. Like, you know, we need to be in the business of making homies, not breaking homies, and just old values that the homies were truly about, you know, from the beginnings. And some of this most of this capitalist system has corrupted those values, and they've divided it and steered us all different directions. But I hung on to a lot of those values. And it was the Short Corridor Collective in 2011 when we went on a hunger strike. That was the first time I ever participated in any type of protest. But it came to a point where I was willing to die. I was willing to starve myself so that the next generation of our grandchildren would not have to suffer the atrocities that I suffered, you know, from this brutal system of incarceration, of so-called corrections that had done nothing for me but destroy my spirit, batter my spirit, and break my spirit down to try to break me and left me in pure dehumanized. But it was the community that shed these scars and healed these wounds when I got out in August 12th of 2015, after going through 2 hunger strikes, 2 brutal prison riots, and then coming out and being embraced into San Diego City College and given financial aid and saying, here, you can go to school and we'll pay you and we'll help you learn the knowledge that I've been able to receive, you know. And now I understand what the hell was happening, like what this system was doing to me. If I would have never got this knowledge of reading these books like George Jackson and being exposed to, you know, the pedagogy of the oppressed, like, you know what I'm saying? One of the books, first books that Khalid Alexander gave me, I woke up and seen what is truly happening to our communities. You know, we're being manipulated. We're being conditioned to accept this through shows like Cops, through shows like America's Most Wanted, through shows like Locked Up, that are making billions of dollars off of creating these moral panics in our mind that there's all this crime in our communities, which is not the case. And they're just sucking out all and extracting all this tax revenue, and at the same time, on the back end, creating money. It's all about money. We're being used as a commodity. And we need to wake up as a community and realize that they've turned us all into commodities. And all we equal to them is a prison number, or some sort of ticket, or some sort of tax that they can suck out of us while we are enslaved to working. And so we got to come together as a community and realize that and dismantle it. And so I mean,
started selling people. It's never stopped.
Yeah, I haven't been out 5 years. The day I got released, they killed Hugo Pinel. I like to, you know what I'm saying, point that out. Was one of the final individuals from the San Quentin Six, and they ended up assassinating him, and it was in New Folsom State Prison on August 12th of 2015. That's the day I was released, and I've come home and fought hard for the community since, and I'll fight to my death. I don't want our great-grandchildren and our grandchildren to suffer this. And I'm willing to fight on my feet rather than die on my knees to let our families suffer and be enslaved by this disgusting system that has done nothing to protect or serve us whatsoever.
You said something though, and I want Ingrid to elaborate on it. Sam said something, Alonzo said something, and it's almost with this radical love of people who cared about you and people you've cared about, because I believe you and Alonzo where you guys are because you guys pushed each other sometimes at times where it didn't seem like it was reasonable or feasible. You know what I'm saying? Ingrid, when I first met you, I was in LA and I heard you talking about Susan Burton and you could tell the love there, the radical love, the mentoring, and you a boss. You know what I'm saying? How have those things, those people who just lift you up so you can lift others up, how has that helped you become more meaningful? And how are you doing that? What are you doing?
So, you know, Susan, for those of you that have encountered her, she ain't no joke at all. And so I guess she saw herself in me, you know, because I came home. It's funny he said August. I came home August 14th, 2015. And that was my second time at a new way of life. And so she was like, you know, what happened? And I'm like, you know, I didn't want to let you down. She was like, you do realize I know that shit happens, right? I was like, well, you know, you Susan Burton. She said, I don't want to hear that shit. You know, I realized that shit happens. And so from that point forward, we came up with a plan of what we was going to do. And it was either I stick to the plan or, you know, I go sideways. And I decided to stick to the script, you know, and that just came from my loyalty to just being in the streets. You stick to the script, you stick to a set of rules. And, you know, those are transferable skills. You know what I'm talking about, that I use in this movement. She showed me how to stick to the script in a positive manner and how to uplift my people and show them how to do the exact same thing, because we got lives to save. And I got a lot of job titles. So I run the civic engagement department at A New Way of Life. I hire my own people who got felony convictions. I teach them about voting. I teach them about, you know, ballot measures, how to understand ballot measures, and how how to reiterate what the ballot measure is to other people in our community, in our language, not in that language that is in that little white book with that red, white, and blue stamp that's on it. That ain't that language that's written in that book was not meant to include us. That language was meant to exclude us because it's language that we don't understand. And so just transferring and understanding what that language is and showing people this is what happens to our community if you vote yes. This is what happens if you vote no. So you have the power now, because now you understand what's gonna happen if you vote yes or no. I teach a leadership cohort for formerly incarcerated women who've been affected by the DCFS system. I teach the women, leadership skills that help you understand the place that you have within this fight, and then in turn teach them about the DCFS system in itself. We provide, a training around that 18-month time clock, and basically what happens when a child is taken to the time a child is either reunited or adopted out, and then understanding the history of child snatching. I take it all the way to slavery in the curriculum that we have developed so that we understand exactly where it comes from. Because we can't be leaders and say that we're going to fight something if we don't even know where it came from. You got to know where your feet came from. You got to know where you came from, period, point blank. And we came from off those blocks. Our people came from off those blocks, and they had to sometimes communicate with the slave owners so that they could be able to go see whoever it is that got sold on the weekends and reunify. You know what I'm saying? Same thing we do now. My peoples can't leave from over here because it's a 50-mile radius on their ankle. And so we got to figure out how to meet in the middle. It's no different. It just was transferred into a different system. And then just really helping my people and the women really understand that. And then understanding how do we fight for it? Teaching self-care. We just partnered with Californians for Safety and Justice, and we passed the bill to automatically expunge records in California. And Khalid and Laila, y'all was right there with me. It's I do a lot, and that don't even matter. You know what I'm saying? What I do don't even matter. I do it because somebody got to see my face, and somebody got to understand that if I could come from South Central and do the work in South Central and come up out of it and be a leader, that anybody who feels they got those leadership skills that's within my community or even in the country can do the exact same thing. You could raise up out that prison bed and you could be somebody. And if you don't feel like you could be somebody, then, just come to a new way of life, or, go to Pillars or whatever it is. You got a place to land. You know what I'm saying? You're not hopeless. Teaching people that we're not hopeless when we always arrested, or we always in handcuffs, or we always in front of a courtroom, or they're always taking our kids. It's just always something. And this society deems you as being hopeless when you can't get it right. But how can you get it right when you live in a society that has a bunch of laws that's created for you not to get it right? You know what I mean? So just knowing that we come together and we figure it out, and we figure it out for our people so that our people can re-enter, and so that we can move forward, as better, healthier, and healed people in this movement. Because it's not, it's not if I'm gonna stay in the movement. I don't got no choice. It's either the movement or the pen. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm with the business too. So those transferable skills, I'm willing to die for this. Period.
That's right, sister. That's a
stop.
Hey,
Ingrid, could you say that one more time? You willing to what?
I'm willing to die for this shit.
Oh, that's right.
Hey, we need a shirt. We need shirts made to say that.
Willing to die for this here. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Khalid, you want to take us home? I know we want to get into some.
You know what? And I almost always, insist that we start exactly on time, but just because of who we have today, I'm going to allow us to go a little bit overboard. But the next question, if you can keep it, short, concise, I'm thinking like 2 minutes or so, that would be great. And before I ask that question, though, as our attendees can see, really everybody on this panel should have an hour and a half, 2 hours. if you're a part of organizations, if you're in education, if you're in different things, reach out to these people. We're gonna put their emails in the Google Doc that we send out to folks. Reach out to these people, pay them to come talk. Because again, these are experts in these areas. And so when you're dealing with, you know, whether it's education, whether it's reentry, whether it's defunding the police, all of these are experts. And so we're going to give you their contact information. Please reach out, pay these people, and benefit from, you know, that wealth of knowledge that they have. So wrapping it up, one of the, you know, when I look at police violence and harassment, I see, I was asked the other day, like, why do we see this happening? And I think there's two answers. One is racism, right? And that's a long fight. That's going to take a while. That's good old boy racism that we've all been raised with. But the other reason that I think we can begin to address right now is because they get away with it. What can we do as communities to prevent police from getting away with the abuses that we see on a daily basis? And I know that's a big thing, but if you can just kind of, whoever answers first is going to be concise. The rest of you, think about what you're going to say so you can leave us with some gems. So how do we stop the police from abusing from abusing us, from treating us the way that you were experienced? How do we prevent that from happening for our children right now and for our children in the future?
Stop being scared. And when I say that, I mean, like Ingrid said, we fighting for our lives right now. You know, this ain't even just freedom, because we're not free. You know what I'm saying? In a country, this country will never consider us to be free. So the fact that I can live with that, then I can also live with the fact that I'm gonna fight until it happens, if it ever does happen. And I think that's what we've done. Our culture, we've done that since we were brought to this country. So I think once we kind of do that, then we kind of teach it in the home. Like my son knows that I constantly will run up on the police, and he knows exactly what I mean by that, and I show him that. You know, he's been in the car when I done hopped out and went to address the situation, because I want my son to know that even at times when you do feel scared, son, you still can draw from that though, because you're going to go check in on somebody's welfare. That somebody could be you. Or you might even know that person. You won't know until you run up on a car. So I think what we have to do is I just love the education piece. The education just gives me so much strength, because I know who we are as a people. I know where we come from. I know what we're willing to do. And all of our people have died. I mean, all of our, you know, the majority of our people who fought have died. And that's where I draw it from. And I kind of, you know, I kind of like I call it the Harriet Tubman syndrome. And I know we could go talk about thousands of different people, but to me, that woman right there was just incredible. Like she's a mind-blowing, and I think every person of color in the whole wide world needs to just look at who she was as an individual and see where she draw her strength from. Where did she get her strength from in the times that she was living in? You know, and she was able to maintain and do that, not just for herself, but thousands of generations to come. And that's what we have to do. I think we have to put ourselves in a position to do that. And now the police departments, whether we defund them or not, you're not going to have power over here. You're not going to have no power at Pillars. You have no power. You have zero power here, because everybody's going to come out that building on you. And that's what we all have to do. You have to know that you got back. And like Ingrid said, the leadership, if you guys do consider yourself leaders, know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Don't just step up to the plate when the pitcher is throwing the ball, you don't even know how to swing, because you don't know what you're talking about. We don't need that. Continue to educate yourself. And when you educate, I think education comes power, at least for me. The more educated I get, the more I'm like this. You know what I mean? So that's me.
Ingrid, you wanna pass it, or are you ready?
Ingrid should go last. I want to hear you last.
Question, and I'm gonna go last.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and speak real quick just before my phone dies again. Sorry about that, y'all.
Hey, you're back. Yay.
I am back. I'm back. And you said what? You asked the question.
So the question is, what can we do to prevent the abuses that you all talked about that you received from the police? What can we do to prevent other people being abused in similar ways?
The first thing that comes to my brain is awareness. To continue to do what we're doing and bring that awareness. To tell people that that's not okay, because I'm sure there's many individuals who are not aware that there is little Black boys and little Mexican boys or brown boys who are being touched by the police in their privates. you know, without any probable cause, without any actual arrest being made, you know, things like that. And so just, I think awareness of these issues, right? Of these issues, because there's many issues when it comes to policing, right? And that little, that one right there is just one little issue we can talk about, as far as like the fact that we are being touched in certain places, you know what I mean? That officers are not calling female officers for, you know, women, things like that. Just bringing more awareness. I'm all for defunding and dismantling the police, right? But for some individuals, right, it would be to bring awareness, and also to shit, it left my head. But it's most importantly to bring awareness and to hold the police accountable, right? Which we try to do, right? But you know, we can only do the best we can. So that's definitely my take on that, to bring awareness to the community.
Right on. Thank you. Mr. Tony?
We have to be more aggressive in terms of calling them out.
Yes,
and
sir.
getting in their face.
Yes, sir.
You know, when I was a kid, as a junior Black Panther, right around the corner where I live right now, you had the Brown Berets and the Black Panthers, and we would be in their face. And we were serious about it. And I was willing, even today, I'm willing to lay my life down to make this change. You know, because they already got the laws that's legislated for the people they've always hated. You know, yeah, we can't just pass laws. That ain't gonna work. We got to be in their face and let them know that, you know what, there's no more killing. Ain't no more killing. You know, and so that's it.
Be aggressive. I like that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I just follow up with what Tony said. You know what I'm saying? The greatest birthday gift I ever got was this year when I got to see the Minneapolis Police Department get burnt down. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was cheering, I was hooting and hollering. I stood up for days watching that shit like as if I was in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't been in Vegas in, 15 years, and you're in the Strip and all the lights are going, you know what I'm saying? Like, that made me happy, you know? Yeah, we just gotta continue to be aggressive in their face. We gotta gain the knowledge, get these little certificates, the little PhDs and the bachelor's degrees, and show up to these tables and tell them, hey, nah. You know what I'm saying? We gotta unwrite all these policies that they wrote up against us to continue to enslave us. We gotta continue to burn down all the monuments that have been there. That's the same way they stripped our cultures away from us, is the same way we gotta eliminate this white supremacist culture that's been what America has been. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta fight every day as one, together as one, and not let these little things divide us. There's certain things that are going on right now where they're trying to divide up us and keep us separated. As long as we're separated, we're powerless. We have no voice. But when we're together as one and united, we're forceful. We're a power and force. Okay. So we gotta realize that and not let their little divisive tricks and their divisive tactics interfere with our unity. And we gotta keep that unity alive. And anything that jeopardizes that unity, we gotta eliminate it ASAP. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they've been doing to us. They've been dividing and conquering us and extracting billions of dollars off of our fights, off of our wars, off of our battles for a little bit of change. They're getting $15.7 billion while we're shooting each other for $25, $30 in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Yep. $50 off of Palantero, man. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta realize these things and realize that unity is gonna reclaim our communities and get those folks that are in the tents downtown LA. Like downtown LA is just a big old tent city, and get the folks in downtown San Diego in these tents in the houses. We gotta come up and we gotta fight hard. And if that means, you know, making our own roadblocks and not allowing the police in our neighborhoods, and that's what we got to do. You know what I'm saying? We got to come together like the Black Panthers and the Brown Berets back then, and we got to get rad on them, and we got to show them we're not going to tolerate this shit anymore. And so I'm all in with Tony, Alonzo, Ingrid, Laila, Samantha, Khalid, and everyone that's watching. I'm willing to put my life on the line for this shit. I'm tired of it, and I'll be damned if my great-great-grandchildren, your great-great-grandchildren have to suffer this shit anymore.
Well, shoot, let's start with our children right now, right? But
right.
Very well said. Ingrid, sis.
So the first thing that we need to do is to stop giving passes to racist behavior and language. Check that shit at the door. No more passes, period, point blank. You know how when we used to be in the street and you would see somebody that come across them lines and they not supposed to, and you know, you ain't getting no pass. Apply that same to right now. You know what I'm saying? Apply that same energy to right now when it comes to you know, our communities and these racist people and the racist ideology, these racist laws and these racist institutions. We not giving no more passes. The second thing is keep your feet in the streets. Right now, we are in a season where everybody is in the streets. If you don't know about the streets, hop off the porch and go get in them. And it ain't about being violent. It's about getting out there and making your voice known. Keep your feet in the streets. The little man can now be the big man. Apply pressure. We are in a season right now to where we can make whatever change that we want to, and don't let nobody tell you nothing different to anybody that's listening. We could defund, dismantle they ass. We could defund DCFS and dismantle they ass. We could defund the prison industrial complex and dismantle they ass. We have the power to do it, but it's all about how we empower ourselves and how we empower those who are around us, and how we keep applying pressure and how we stay consistent. Don't wake up one day and you a warrior and you a Black Panther and the next day you want to be a powder puff. Ain't none of that happening right now. You need to be consistent with your stance, and you got to keep it pushing. When I hopped out them prisons, I kept it moving. I didn't turn back because I didn't want to turn in assault. I kept it pushing because I know it wasn't just about my life. It was about a whole bunch of people's lives that just needed to see something different. Another thing is this a whole bunch of organizations that's on this call right now. If you don't have a home, or if you don't know where you could be able to fight and use your voice, anewayoflife.org, All of Us Are None, Pillars of the Community, and so on and so forth. If you want to know about college, holler at Alonzo, holler at Flaco. They out here doing it big. You know what I'm saying? If you don't understand about, you know, how to transfer your life from being a girl that's in the street gang banging, holler at Samantha, holler at me, holler at Laila. If you don't understand what it is about, if you a teacher and you don't understand what it is about how to transfer your skills and how to help your students understand what's going on, holler at Khalid. There is no reason for you to leave off this call uneducated and not knowing what to do. That's what we need to do.
The comments down.
That when we moving, that our kids don't gotta see this no more.
Man, I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. Yeah. So, you know, once again, you know, thank you all for coming. I'm just in awe of all of you. You know, Ingrid, we always got a place for you in San Diego. I'm just saying, weather a little bit better, a little less traffic, a little less smog. You know, I'm just throwing that out there. But we love you. It's important to have our comrades in other cities that we can build each other and support one another and support the work that we're doing. Everybody, thank you for logging in. Recording it. This is recorded. You could also, it was on Facebook Live, so you can share it from Facebook Live. The recording will be sent out to attendees as well. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, next Friday, we're going to be transitioning from the local to the global, and we're going to be talking about how the global struggle around policing and training of police and the philosophy of police and police violence and all of these things is actually a global phenomenon, much of which actually stems from the United States and our oppression of Black folks and what they've learned from it. So next Friday, we have a really kind of amazing group of scholars that are going to be talking about those global connections. Please log back on. Please tell other people, because again, we have to understand these systems if we plan on, one, taking them down, and two, avoiding creating the same systems or duplicating the systems that have already been in place, because that's all that we know. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Panelists, you all are amazing. Jean-Louis and Mimi, can you all out there, can you show your faces again, our tech folks? I always have to make sure that our tech folks, the people who make it so I don't need to worry, get their props. They might be acting a little shy right now. Normally,
hey, I want to see the drawing. You were talking about some drawing. Like, I want to see this drawing now. Like, this is cool. Yeah.
That's a surprise, Flaco. Kill game.
Okay, damn.
He said kill game.
And Mimi, there's Mimi. Mimi representing. Thank you so much, Mimi. Jean-Louis, I know you're out there someplace. We love you both. And thank you for everything, everybody. That's it. We're good, everybody. All power.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Whoa.
Gangster nerds.
So just so you know, everybody, we're still live. People are watching us and talking and whatever. But, I mean,
I gotta go, man. I gotta go. I love y'all.
Yeah, I'm always the one staying on here awkwardly talking as we figure out how to
everything go smoothly.
log off. I think we're heading towards logging off. Mimi, can you make us all? Can you make us all disappear? I can't hear you, Mimi. I can't hear you. You muted. Maybe Jean-Louis is the main person. He's missing in action a little bit.
I would love to. I just don't know how to do that.
All right, then. Well, I'm going to log off. Mimi's going to log off. Everybody else is going to log off. And again, thank you, everybody.